evening, everyone. I want to start by thanking the Hall of Fame committee, as well as the staff and students who have contributed to putting on this incredible event. I want to take you back for a minute to the beginning of my time at Concordia. A freshman who frankly didn't even understand what the term freshman meant, since I was from Canada and we don't say that. I felt like a legal alien. I kid you not, that's what my documentation said, so I just went with it. I was told that the hope for me was that one day I would score points for the team. This was a very fair statement, as when I started my time at Concordia, I was an okay runner. I had only started running the year prior, and in my first race ever, I came dead last. I never imagined running as something I would love, let alone running being something that led me on an entirely different journey from what I had planned. I remember pulling up to the dorms my freshman year, only for the first practice to be held a few hours later. I began to meet people on campus, and this legal alien felt less like an alien and more like a student who was establishing a new home. Concordia became my home, and the people became my family away from my family. It's no easy task to be a student athlete, but in so many ways, it shaped me to be who I am. For any current student athletes, I encourage you to keep moving forward. It is hard, but it's designed to be hard. You may not achieve your goals in a way you predicted, but I've always believed that if you're working towards getting there, that is far more valuable than just reaching your goal. It takes discipline, heart, passion, disappointment, and excitement, and courage to be a student athlete. Concordia is a unique school when it comes to the opportunities for growth. One area I grew a lot was in my faith. I remember when I started at Concordia, I knew who God was, but I hadn't gone to church in a while and wasn't sure if I wanted to go. My roommate and teammate Courtney invited me each week, even though I always had to go do laundry on Sunday morning. Eventually, I decided to try it out, and I never looked back. Daily chapel and support from Pastor Ryan and Pastor Duncan encouraged me every step of the way. I remember before one of my first races, Pastor Ryan prayed with us and used Hebrews 12, 1-3. And I'm gonna read it again because it's God's word and it is true. So therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. I remember this verse being something I thought about only in terms of running races. But realistically, it was more indicative of the journey I took while at Concordia. Through everything, my eyes were focused on the Lord, and in some of the hardest moments, I leaned on that. I can look back and say confidently that the motto, to grow in mind, body, and spirit, for service to Christ, in the church, and in the world, is something that is achieved here at Concordia and Arbor. So I need to thank Pastor Ryan, Pastor Duncan, and Gabe Casper for their support in my faith journey while I was here. Concordia is also very unique in the ability to hold students to a high academic standard and give them unique learning experiences. Since the classes I was in were small and the professors were amazing, I now get to use my experiences every day as a teacher. I learned from Kristen Schumann, Timothy Neal, Amber Melick, and Michelle Kuzma, and their understanding of my life as a student athlete made all the difference. They still held me to a high standard, while understanding I might be tired from running between classes or to the North Building or getting home late from a meet. They always had their door open, whether I had a question about life or about class. And that's a principle I now want to take into my own classroom with my students. I hope I can be that open door and firm guide for them through their journey in education. There are some other people I need to thank for all of their support and encouragement during my time here. I need to thank President Ferry, who made it cool to be a runner. I need to thank Rachel Tomes, who was my mentor for Athletes in Action and always supported me. I also need to thank Kyle Tomes, who supported every win I had and was always the first person to text and call to get the inside scoop for the next Concordia article. Thank you to Lonnie, who continues to expertly guide and inspire the athletes at Concordia. Thank you for tonight and for the opportunity to go to places that I needed to represent Concordia and grow as an athlete. Thank you to my teammates who motivated me every day. Although running is an individual sport, in terms of results, it is the farthest thing from an individual sport. I remember the countless times I had my entire team lined up around the track to cheer me on for 25 laps, and it always amazed me. I was tired by 10 laps, and I'm like, how are you still cheering for me after 10? They inspired me to dig deeper and keep fighting for every record and time goal I could get. To Casey, Dan, and Matt, thank you for constantly taking care of all of my aches and pains, for working with me through injuries, and especially Matt for helping me through the marathon. To all the professors and staff here at Concordia, thank you for supporting me and making me feel like a name rather than a number, like in so many other universities. I also need to thank my fiance, Andre, his brother, Danny, and my mother and father-in-law, Andrea and Dan, for coming here tonight to support me. I also want to thank my best friend, Mary Beth, who was the first person to come back to Concordia with me for a race once the borders opened up again, and supports me through every endeavor. I also want to thank my grandparents. My grandma and I would talk before every race, and she would tell me to go out there and tell them what Canadians were made of and show them what Canadians are made of. Both of my grandfathers passed while I was at Concordia, but they encouraged me even after they were gone. My grandpa always told me to keep going, and the last card I got from my grandpa passed said, keep running faster, faster, and faster. Each one of them was a huge influence on my life. I, of course, wouldn't be here tonight without my parents. Thank you for every way you have always encouraged me to follow my dreams. Thank you for letting me take the jump to pursue my dreams in the United States and go on a path no one had predicted. Thank you for every drive down to watch me race in the cold, rain, snow, extreme heat, humidity, and every weather pattern possible. I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without your support. There are so many moments I cherish as your daughter, but one I hold dear is when I crossed the finish line at the NAIA Marathon, and you were there to hug me in all of my sweaty glory. I remember handing my dad my shoes because I no longer wanted to wear them, and I was drinking a drink throughout the race called Heed, and I said, there's Heed all over them. He's like, you peed all over them? I was like, no! But he still took them anyways, even when he thought it was something else at first. Daddy taking pictures to capture every moment there was perfect, and Mom relieved I didn't pass out at the finish line like the other people that finished the race prior to me, and jumping to give me a hug. So thank you. Lastly, my time at Concordia began and ended with the most amazing coach I could have asked for, who has now become family. We both agreed the first year was a bit of a battle. I was a stubborn, homesick Canadian who thought she knew best. The headbutting turned into trust that got me to every single accolade and record I got. I remember so many great memories of going to races, to hear him cheering me on from who knows where. I would later watch the video he recorded to see him bounding through tall grass to get to the next best location to see me. I think one of my favorite moments, though, was during the marathon when he could tell I was hurting. And we just read an article about Eliud Kipchoge and how if you smile when you're running, it actually tricks your brain into thinking you're okay. So he yelled at me from the car, he's like, smile! And I'm like, no. I don't think I've ever given a harder death stare in my life. I think of all the pep talks and workout plans that seem to only make sense to us. He took care of me like his own, and I remember the numerous road trips jamming out to Phil Collins while talking about home, and home felt a little closer. Thank you for believing in me, even when I didn't. When I crossed the finish line of that marathon, yes, it was me physically crossing, but truly it was both of us. So this is mine as much as it is yours. So the Hall of Fame class of 2024, congratulations, and thank you to everyone who has helped to get me here.